Transportation.
Movement.
Good. It is a political thing. What's the motive? Economic, political, or social?
Economic.
The motive is economic. What is the impact? All of them. Impact is all of them. The motive of this is to tap the West. Right? The East is tapped. Partially. Tap the West. People are moving in this direction. How can we get goods this way? How can we get goods this way? How can we get goods this way? How can we get these goods that way? How can we create a country that is connected? Does this make sense? How can we tap this area? Specifically, towns on big lakes and rivers, like Detroit, Buffalo, Cleveland. All some old school northern towns. And the significance of this is it's going to create a national market. Instead of having small markets in the north, one in the south, one in the west, we're going to create a national market. And we're going to have regional specialization. Every region will begin to specialize in what they do, and that will create this national economy. So, for instance, what is the East going to be known for eventually? The North and the East. Yeah, starts with an I, ends with an industry. Very good. Industry. Specifically right now, textiles, right? Later it's going to be things like steel and other manufacturing, oil production. What's the South going to be?
Cotton.
Yeah, cash crops. Cotton, most specifically. Tobacco.
Rice.
Less and less rice, but yeah. Although like in the Low Country in South Carolina, rice is still a big deal. Like if you live in the Low Country, like we eat a lot of potatoes here. The Low Country uses rice as their starch rather than potatoes. Like if we have potato everything here, there is rice everything. Like you mix your rice with your. You ever had like rice with barbecue before and hash, and you mix it all up together? Do what?
Sounds good though.
It is awesome. So like South Carolina barbecue is a little bit different. The barbecue sauce is a little more mustardy, and you put some rice in there. It's all right. So now you have cash crops, and what's the West going to be? Food. Gold.
Yeah, rations.
Food. Not this West. We're talking about this West right now. Yes. Yeah. The gold strike in Nebraska. Target.
So it's like big grain and stuff.
Yeah, wheat, corn, soybeans down the line. That's another thing. If you go to Indiana, there's soybeans everywhere too, right? And when my high school, we had our announcements every day, and it was always the FFA winning some soil judging contest or some pig snout contest. Our FFA was really, really organized. Our fairs were great. I love fairs. Our fairs here, we don't have really any cattle or no pigs or goats. Right, the Jackson County Fair was huge. You got to get way better than the Jennings County Fair. And you would see her mom's from Jennings County, Indiana, which is next door to us. They're kind of like the
better.
They're kind of like the ugly stepsister of Indiana. And
Yeah, whatever. Panthers versus owls.
Owls is a lot cooler of a mascot. It's a great show.
and we were purple. How awesome is that?
Purple owls. What a...
Pretty cool.
Really?
What is this?
Blue and red panthers?
He's a poet.
Yeah.
Right, red bearcats? The color and the mascot, no, blue wildcats, none of them are the same thing, right?
I mean, if that was the case, though, we'd all be, every team would be brown.
Right. The feathers or something it would be called. But instead, we have purple and white. How awesome is that?
Like what you're wearing.
Yes! This would be like what a teacher at Seymour High School would wear. And in fact, me and Ellis, a couple of years ago, it was 90s Day, so we wore our letter jackets, and I got to sport the Seymour High School letter jacket. And she can tell you, letter jackets are huge everywhere but here. Right? Anderson County, we're like, I'm not going to be proud of my school. Therell be no letter jackets.
Ellis from Indiana?
Yeah, Ellis was from up near Indianapolis. He went to IU. It was more than $200, but it's worth it. My letter jacket is the warmest thing ever. It's so warm, and it has all like little awards on it, your name and your graduate year. It's great. Like getting your letter was a really big deal. Like everyone wore their letter jacket at school. In fact, we had a club called the Letterman's Club. And it was like the jock club. I was the president. I literally was the president. It was funny because all of my friends were on it, and they were like, and so it ran between me and a guy named Kevin Kreinhagen, right? Me and Kevin Kreinhagen, and we were both friends. He actually got cut by the Seahawks. He was a quarterback. He got cut by the Seahawks. It was me and him, and he was our best football, our best basketball, and our best baseball player, right? 6'4", ripped. Me. And we were friends. I mean, we were actually pretty good friends for a long time. But everyone thought, you know what? Screw Kreinhagen. Let's give it to the best tennis player. Right? Instead of the best football player, leave me the tennis player. So it was awesome. I was like, take that, Kreinhagen. It was awesome.
So he doesn't mind.
No, he's a really good guy. I don't know what he does now, but he's a really good guy. Okay, so now let's talk about different types. Turnpikes first. Alright. Has anyone been on a turnpike before? It's kind of like a highway, right? Now clearly the turnpikes that are being built in the 1790s, are not paved roads with, lines in the middle saying you can or can't pass. Turnpikes are going to be a little bit different. These are connecting bigger cities. Specifically, like the first one in Pennsylvania is connecting Philly to Lancaster. You won't need to know that specifically. But turnpikes are not much more than just dirt roads, right? That have been built in between cities. And these turnpikes, you actually had like this wooden thing you pushed down. These big spikes came up and you couldn't go past unless you paid a toll. And they put down, turnpike went down, and you went this way. There were other types of roads that didn't have wooden little wood things in them, and your wheels could go on those wooden things if it got muddy or rainy. For the most part, these are very, very slow. Today, obviously, hugely inefficient roads, but they are linking. Other than that, like people came west, they literally just went over land, right? They didn't go in roads, they went over land. Yes.
So do you always pay a toll?
On a turnpike, traditionally. I don't know if every single time in the history of the world, but traditionally you did. One of the first national roads was called the Cumberland Road, and that goes from Maryland to Illinois, covering over 500 miles. The Cumberland Road going through Cumberland Valley. This was both federal and state funded, and now you can get goods and services back and forth. And it's going to start connecting. This is by 1811. It's going to connect more and more and more. I want to talk about canals because they're my favorite. What's a canal?
A man-made waterway.
It's a big ditch, right? It's like a man-made big ditch with a lot of water. The Erie Canal is going to be the most famous version of this, paid for by the state of New York. In fact, Governor DeWitt Clinton, and I used to call Tyler DeWitt Governor DeWitt. Governor DeWitt Clinton able to fund this, and essentially what happened was, from Lake Erie, let's just go ask called the Erie Canal, the canal went all the way down to, I forget what river it is that connects New York. So if you wanted to go from like Cleveland or Buffalo, you took the canal, you took the lake if you're in Cleveland, or the canal if you're in Buffalo, to the river, and then you went all the way down to New York, okay? That still sounds like a lot of work, but I will tell you this. The canal was 363 miles. That's a huge, huge ditch. It used to cost $100 to get grain from Cleveland to New York, or Buffalo to New York, cost $100. After Lake Erie, it cost $5. It used to take 20 days, now it takes 6. So if it's cheaper and faster, what can people do more of? Trade, right? Jobs, industry. So what towns become huge industrial centers? Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit, right? Chicago eventually. More transportation tomorrow, and then we'll get into the political and social